Happy birthday, everybody, and welcome to Cerealsly, where we take cereals seriously. My name is Alex, and I eat and review hundreds of cereals a year in order to help you get the most out of your cereal experience. Today on Cerealsly, we've got a showdown. We're going to be pitting 5 different variations of Raisin Bran against each other to find out which should take home the title of the most raisiny, branny bran out there. Making a Raisin Bran is not difficult, as it only takes 2 components, raisins and bran. And it's made even simpler for cereal companies because, like other examples such as Frosted Flakes, it's too generic of a title to copyright. So everyone can just slap the same name on their boxes. And slap it on they have, because we have 5 identically named cereals stepping up to the plate today. Let's take a look at what we've got. First, we have what must be considered the ringer, Kellogg's Raisin Bran. Kellogg's has gone above and beyond, not just making a steady Raisin Bran since 1943, but also marketing it successfully enough that almost everyone in America can recognize their signature sun logo and the 2 scoops of raisins. Now, we're never told how big those scoops are, just that there are 2 of them, and that should be enough for us. Next, we have the most obvious second contender on the market right now, Post Raisin Bran. Thankfully for Post, they too have a recognizable hook because they use sun-made raisins. This lady standing with her basket of grapes ready to be turned into raisins is extremely recognizable. In fact, you probably have a container of these raisins in your house right now. No mention by Post of how many scoops of raisins there are inside, but at least we know they come from this lady, and that's pretty cool. Third, we're going to take a look at what could be an odd one, Raisin Bran from malto meal. Now, I say this might be odd because in 2015, malto meal was purchased by Post. So some of their cereals bear a striking resemblance to each other, which makes obvious sense. It may be the case, then, that these will be the exact same thing as Post Raisin Bran, but they also may use a different formulation for better or for worse. For the final 2 contenders, I tried to go even more generic and purchased the first one at Aldi. So here it is, Raisin Bran from Millville. Now, actually, this may be a double bust because in the past, Millville has been called out as a puppet brand of malto meal, which could mean that we're eating a generic of a generic. If that's the case, that would really bite, but it may also not be, so we're still going to test it today. Finally, we have the Raisin Bran that was by far the cheapest for me to purchase, and that is this, Great Value Raisin Bran. This one, like several other Great Value cereals that we have looked at in the past, at least has an activity on the box. In this case, it's a word search, and at first I thought it was just a word search for different countries, but I think it goes farther than that. I think these are different countries, all of which are islands. What a curiously specific word search to have on the back of a cereal box that has nothing to do with islands, I don't think at all. But in their classic way, they also have the solution on the side if you find yourself stuck looking for one. So here are our 5 contenders, pretty maids all in a row. Now, you'll notice that I didn't include any Raisin Bran variations here. No Raisin Bran Crunch, no Raisin Bran with cranberries, no Raisin Nut Bran. Instead, I just went with the classic formulations so we could test them in 3 categories: flakes, raisin quality, and raisin quantity. So, what do you think? Will one of these Raisin Brans be the obvious winner, blowing the others out of the water? Will this showdown solidify exactly which box of Raisin Bran you should pick up the next time you go to the grocery store? Or will these be so indistinguishable from each other that we'll be stuck with a rehash of a rehash of a rehash, tumbling endlessly into the Raisin Bran black hole? Friends, it's time to eat some cereal. Hey, if you made it this far, what are you doing? You decided to watch this whole thing? That is so nice. Would you do me one more favor? Would you like this video? That would really help me out. All right, I think I am ready to tackle this mountain of Raisin Bran that is in front of me. That's a lot of bran, friends, and a lot of raisins. But I have got my tower of bowls. I have got my spoon. I've got my trusty milk. And then I have got as many Raisin Brans as I could think of. Let me know if there are other ones that I didn't get to that are favorites of yours. I don't know, will I want to try more Raisin Brans after this? Who's to say? I think I am going to start by pouring them all out and trying them dry before we ever put milk on them. And I'm going to start with the classic, at least for me, Kellogg's Raisin Bran. Let's see what Kellogg's Raisin Bran looks like in a bowl. Now, something that's importantly distinct, I think, that not all Raisin Brans have is that Kellogg's raisins absolutely are sugar covered. They don't just have a dusting of sugar. They have every nook and cranny coated in sugar. Is that good or bad? Who knows? But it has definitely always been the case for them. Second, I'm going to go with Post Raisin Bran. Well, we're 2 for 2 here. Maybe I'm wrong. These are also completely sugar-coated raisins. Are all of these going to be sugar-coated? I don't think I noticed that on the box. I was looking at these raisins down here, but those are the natural raisins. Up here, I can see now that they do show in the picture, even on Post, that they are sugar-covered. Compared to the Kellogg's, they look very similar, but let's keep pouring these out, see what we got. Next, I'm going to go for the original generic, which is malto-meal, in my opinion. What in the world? How do I open these things? Oh, it's a tab system instead of a rip-off the whole top system. This one, at least in the beginning, should have been called Raisin Dust. And of course, they have no box to protect the internals. And once again, completely covered with sugar raisins. We got to keep going. Millville, this is the one from Aldi. Well, friends, I must be dead wrong, because here we are 4 for 4 with completely sugar-coated raisins. I could have sworn that there was a Raisin Bran out there that didn't have sugared raisins. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe I was making that up, or they learned from their mistake and now have become sugar-coated. Either way, these from Millville look fine, but they look exactly the same. I think what we're proving is we may come up with nothing when it comes to the look of any of these cereals. So let's pour out our 5th one, Raisin Bran from Great Value, the Walmart brand. Well, there is a subtle difference here. Once again, raisins coated in sugar, but this is slightly darker in color than all of the rest of the flakes. It has more like a burnt brown than some of these others. Okay, I told you we were going to judge them by flakes, by raisin quality, and raisin quantity. I can tell you just by glancing at it that we can cross that last category off of our list. Perhaps there's a slightly more raisiny raisin factor in the Great Value from Walmart, but only slightly. And ironically, Walmart sells an extra Raisin Bran that likely has more raisins than this. That would be a crazy amount of raisins. We'll taste the raisins in just a second, but let's talk about flakes here. I can see that Kellogg's, which is this first one, has nice, big, intact flakes, and they're very consistent. They are the most consistent of all of these. Now, that said, the Post has the biggest individual flakes. You're not getting flakes this big in any of the other cereals. So I would have to give victory in the flakes category to Kellogg's flakes. Again, they're not the largest individuals, but they are so very consistent throughout the bowl. Now for each, let me see if I can gather up some raisins so that we can test them with some sort of comparable amount. All right, I've got all the contenders lined up. So you can see this is Kellogg's, this is Post, this is Malto-Meal, this is Millville, this is Great Value. I just took the first 3 raisins that my little fingies could grab, and I could say that they all look very similar. So I do think it's going to come down to taste. So let's start here at the beginning with Kellogg's again and taste me some raisins. Gummy, sweet. That's absolutely what I think of when I think of raisins. Let's try the Post raisin. There is a subtle difference there. It's a little bit sweeter, a little bit deeper flavor. That's interesting. I wouldn't say all that much better, but I'm glad to say that I can notice a difference. All right, let's go to the Malto-Meal raisins. Fine, they taste like raisins. Next, the Millville from Aldi raisins. Those had a distinct tanginess to them that the rest haven't had yet. Let's finish up with these Great Value raisins. Oh, noticeably drier, noticeably mustier, like a dingy taste to them. That makes me even more wary. The fact that they have an extra raisins box. I don't know if I would want extra raisins that taste like that, especially when you've got great ones from all these other raisin brands. Well, I think it's finally time to pour some milk on these and see how they fare with a bite or two of each one. Let's try Kellogg's Raisin Bran in milk. Good. Excellent with the bran. I do like the flake consistency. My mouth knew what it was aiming for. Each time it crunched down, the raisins are sweet enough, certainly with that sugar on it. Good balance. Let's try Post Raisin Bran in milk. Boy, the raisins really came through in that one for me, but the bran was nowhere near as good. More of a manufactured taste and far less consistent in the crunch. Pour some milk on this malto meal bowl. Let's try malto meal Raisin Bran. Well, you know what's interesting? I really liked the dustier consistency of this because the flakes have already been broken down a little bit. You get more of them in a bite, but I did not like the bran taste in this. The raisins were fine, but the bran has a dankness to it, a cloudiness to it. Let's try the Millville from Aldi Raisin Bran in milk. Well, I truly would not be surprised if these two are exactly the same. The Post and the Millville. I like the bigness of the flakes a little bit in this. The raisins are fine. I'm not a fan of the bran taste. It does seem too manufactured, not a natural grain taste to it. Something a little too sweet, a little too off for me. So if it came down to picking between Post and Millville, Millville is certainly cheaper, and they taste exactly the same. So that's one problem solved. Go for the Millville if you're a Post fan. But finally, we got to get these Great Value Raisin Bran. Oh my gosh, look how much milk I poured. Holy cow. Let's try the Great Value Raisin Bran to finish this up. Interesting. Well, that's absolutely my second favorite bran taste on this display here. Good taste, solid bran, lots of grain to it taste. Well, we have created a problem for ourselves, which is not unexpected in the sense that each and every one of these is absolute mush now. We cannot go back to any of them. This one from malto meal absolutely fared the worst, where it is just a gigantic congealed mush. It's just itching to become a porridge. So what did we learn from this? We learned that if you are going to eat Raisin Bran, you should do so with haste. Settle into it so that you can focus and finish up your bowl in a timely manner. Certainly do not pour yourself 5 different bowls. So the first taste in milk is going to be where we draw our conclusions from. Let me tell you that there is an overwhelming winner here. I don't think I found a single thing wrong with the Kellogg's Raisin Bran. I suppose that should be a surprise to no one. I do think it's going to be a little more costly. Both the Post and the Kellogg's are often the more costly than these generic versions, but what you get is worth it. I would have to say that on the whole, most of the raisin taste in each of these 5 bowls was very similar. Certainly the quantity was exactly similar. The taste could only be differentiated because I was sitting here trying them back to back. Even the Great Value brand, now knowing that I don't like those raisins as much, I don't think I'd get them again. But if I did accidentally eat them at someone else's house, I wouldn't be sad. They're not gross. They're just not as good. Whereas the clear winner in the brand flake category was Kellogg's. Geez, they know what they're doing. That brand tasted fresh. It tasted hearty. It tasted significant. And that's what I was looking for. So if I were you and you had the means, I would absolutely go with Kellogg's Raisin Bran as the winner. If we're looking for number ratings, I think it would be, this is a cereal classic, a 4 out of 5. These 3 are very similar. I would rate them down a little bit, maybe at 3s, and then Great Value at a 2.5. They are all absolutely fine, but I think a 4 out of 5 here in the Kellogg's Raisin Bran category is absolutely where you should land. Well, friends, we have done it all. We talked, we ate. I said the words Raisin Bran so many times it started sounding wrong coming out of my mouth. Have you ever had that happen? And for now, it's enough. If you want to try today's cereals for yourself, you may have to go to 4 or 5 stores like I did to get them, but they're all out there. So show your support this week by picking up your favorite. Obviously, I am going to be promoting Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. No, Kellogg's Raisin Bran as the clear winner of our showdown today. Now listen, if you haven't yet, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment with what cereal we should look at together in a future episode. Until then, never be soggy, my friends. Bye-bye.